Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and a little late. Sorry about that. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Tuesday, January 30, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a time for change call, Whopper, tomorrow night, around 9 p.m. Eastern. When you take into consideration all of it's like there's two worlds. One world is New Earth, and the other world is Old Earth. And then there's an in-between space, transition space, between those two worlds. And we all know there are those who aren't going to make it in this lifetime to New Earth. Why? Because, well, the bodies will expend and they'll leave and then come into another life, another body, and maybe be awake enough to transition to New Earth. This is a pretty normal process for most civilizations and the universes. Some civilizations are all together as far as awakeness, understanding, and so they all transition together. And like this civilization, it's splintered, so there's sections of it that are awake, and then of course there's others that aren't, and then there's some that are in between. So the transition we're in right now is in between. Those of us who are aware know that we're in a transition between Old Earth and New Earth. So we're in between. We're in that space in between the two worlds. And we are progressing towards entry into New Earth. And so people ask, well, how does that happen? This is why the spiritual quest for humanity is key and paramount. It is the number one direction for the survival, in a lot of ways, of the civilization. And it's not like you get on a transport and you go to New Earth and there's New Earth. It's a transitional spiritual process. So you go within. That's why these meditations are so crucial for the planet at this time, and have been for the past almost 6 years, is that we transition by choosing to go within. And it's not like you're going to be forced, tricked, or anything. It is your discovery, every one of us, it's our discovery in our own way to make that decision for ourselves. Is it a challenge? Yes, it's a challenge. It'll take every ounce of courage that we have and fortitude to transition, because we've been so conditioned with Old Earth and how things operate and how things are put together and work. Now, a lot of us know that Old Earth is more of a containment existence rather than a free existence. And what I mean by that is that there's no constraints in New Earth. It's a totally different existence. Here we have regulations, we have all kinds of stuff that keep us in the pen, so to speak. And then the ego mind manipulates us to stay in that realm. That's why so many civilizations have come and gone on this planet over the last 60 billion years. Because of that, because the transition in the physical material world is not possible. And when we, like in a lot of these meditations, when we go into the quiet time and this is why I give out different kinds of information so that we can pick and choose what we want to focus on. These are, this is not a conventional, A, B, C, D, F, G meditation process. So we choose. Everybody chooses. They listen to the information, the guidance information that I give out, and then they we go into the quiet time. And then they choose what they want to focus on. And that's how it should be. You're not given a specific directive, like in a lot of meditations, like Transcendental Meditation, and the Buddhist and the Hindus and all these different groups that throughout the centuries have followed certain directions. Now, you understand that all of that hasn't moved us to New Earth. So it's not a negative, it's a positive thing, because we can make a comparison and say we are not going to transition in the material physical world. Now, yes, we're in bodies, and yes, we do interact with the material physical world. But what's happened is that through the ages, we've been so conditioned as a people that we're disconnected from our God, the God that we are. Now, that's an illusion, of course, because you can never become disconnected of what you are, which is the God, pure consciousness. So you begin to understand that, okay, I got this. I understand this part of it. And to spend time within is a precedence and primer for the gates opening into New Earth, because then everything begins to shift and change. The structures, all the structures that we grew up with, that we know in old Earth, won't be there. And that's a transition for many because it's a habit that we've been conditioned into. That doesn't mean we know we have the habit, but we do it. And we do it without knowing. And when you begin to know, and you're aware, and you become more and more aware of the process, it is difficult not to, stick your foot into the old Earth, because this is where we grew from, so to speak. And now and you can tell through feeling in quiet time, you can tell how things are going through a metamorphosis with yourself, your body, how you're viewing things, how you're looking at things. And it's almost as if you're not part of it, okay? You're not of it, but you're in it. Kind of a little difficult to explain. You're in it, and you know you're in it. You become aware enough, and you don't choose to be in it anymore. So you continue to go within, and that's why we have these exercises in the meditation that you can choose to do or not, that help with that reprogram ourselves. And that's what this is about. It's about choosing to reprogram ourselves. It's not something outside of us that's, controlling us, so to speak. It's us. The buck stops with us. And that's why I've always said it's all about you. It's about you discovering who and what you are through the meditation, through the now, and moving yourself baby steps out of the ego mind and mastering the ego mind, moving out of judgment. We all judge. We judge ourselves first, then we judge other things. Moving out of these things which have been habitualized for the civilization for a long time. So it's like if you do something over and over again, and you keep doing it, because it's a habit, and you notice that you keep doing it, but you're not getting any results. It just, you know how it goes, a little bit here, a little bit there. And you say, why do I keep doing this since it's not, there's the same results are showing up? It means that we shift our understanding about everything. We understand that there is a facade happening on the planet. Those of us who are aware know that. It's not like it's a surprise to us. We're aware of it. But we also know that we have this like a hook that we try to move ourselves out and it pulls us back, and that's the ego mind that happens with it. That's why we talk so much about the ego mind in these meditations. And when you get to a point where you say, okay, so I understand that. I know there's like a hook that pulls me back because the ego mind tricks us into making it seem like that it is us. It's, and through the heart mind, and it isn't. And it's a very tricky character, even though it's an illusion. Just like everything outside of us is an illusion, made to be real for us to experience. So it appears, the facade of it is that it feels real, tastes real, everything. But it is an illusion. So then we begin to realize that this is an illusion, which we've all created to experience. That's the bottom line. Now, some of it's good, some of it's neutral, and some of it's not good. But we have to make comparisons as we progress as a civilization. We have to be able to compare to certain things in our lives, and not judgment, but say, okay, so I understand this, I did this, and this doesn't work right, doesn't feel right in my heart. So I'm not going to do that anymore, and so I'm going to shift over here, and I'm going to spend my energies and times and focus on myself and transitioning into the spirituality of humanity and not the material physical. We've had the material physical for several lifetimes, so it's not like any of us are strangers. It's not our first rodeo. But now this is an awareness that we are experiencing. And I get tons of communications coming to me from all over the planet of people that are transitioning. It's not a negative, it's a good thing. So it just depends on perspectives, attitudes about yourself and your surroundings. So spirituality is our natural state of being. We are spirits, we are pure energy in these bodies. And like I've said in some of my presentations, is that we don't really plug into the fact and get used to it that the only thing that we have and will ever have is the present moment. It's it. And no matter how much we go into yesterday or tomorrow through the ego mind, we begin to realize that the only peace, the only existence of peace for any of us is within, is to discover who and what we are, and then we go through these different walls that we've created to protect the ego mind, which we claim, we think that we're protecting us. So we defend the ego mind, and we go through life doing that. The stresses and worries and fears and anxieties come from the ego mind, and when the ego mind's in charge, that's what we all experience. It's like there aren't people that go through this life and not experience turbulence. There's just no way around it. We experience turbulence and situations, and because we're so connected to the physical material. When we finally master the now, all of that is gone. That's part of the new earth. Okay? That the old earth is left behind by our choosing. And then we move spiritually, of course we're in a body, to the new earth. And the new earth is, there's not one common denominator that you can connect new earth with old earth. Old earth is religion. We all know that. There's over 50, 60,000 religions on the planet, all man-made. There's a lot of things that we've been taught and trained and conditioned and programmed through the ages that are not true, to keep us distracted and to keep us in this pen. Now, it doesn't mean that you know you're in the pen because you keep moving forward, you believe you're moving forward, and then you get to a point and you're stopped. And so there's some perplexities and confusion and not seeming to understand why these things are transpiring. So, and subconsciously we put blocks in front of ourselves to stop us from progressing as a civilization. Now, some people say, well, it's a lot different now than it was 100 years ago. Not really. It's mostly the clothes and the material physical things and the technologies, pretty much, and some new systems and that type of thing. But the core of it is that we're not much different than we were 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or 2,000 years ago. So we look at that, and we begin to understand it. It's just so you ask yourself, where do I go from here? You practice being in the now. You end the pain and suffering, the disappointment, the anxiety, the stress, because that's old earth, and that's our programming and conditioning that's been put upon us a long time ago. Now we began to understand that, okay, so it's me that will reprogram myself. And that's true. So you know the programming that you've received, you identify it, and then you move into reprogramming. And you do that by moving into the now. Every day, every waking moment, you're in the now. And I'm not saying that we aren't pulled out by the ego mind, because we are. The ego mind doesn't exist there, so it tries to figure out a way to entice us to go back into the ego mind master. And then that's where we suffer. Expectations, attachments. None of us are exempt from it. So we continue. We kind of think we're progressing because of the surroundings, but we're really not. And what is the proof of that? All you have to do is watch the planet and the civilization and understand that. It hasn't moved. For instance, all of us should be right now, in this very moment, flying to different planets, interacting with different civilizations, traveling here and there, and not by combustible engines and jet-fueled planes. And this is something that we start to pick up. I've had people start to identify with these things. And your attention then, this is why we did the special meditation yesterday, your attention then goes to the now in your own spirituality. Not a new age thing or any of that. It is factual, and you start to pick it up through the heart-mind. So you're at a spectator position of you, because the God is watching you, and the God is looking out of your eyes every day and every moment. Now, when you're, it's an artificial matrix trick by the ego mind to make you think differently, act differently, and be differently. Because when you look at the fact that, and we've talked about a lot of things over the years, and we have tons of new people coming on to these meditations from across the planet every day, and some are hearing things might not make sense of what I'm saying, and others of us, since the beginning of these meditations, understand what I'm saying. So it's kind of lopsided a little bit here and there. But I believe, everybody who listens to this meditation or participates in it is aware to a certain extent, or they wouldn't be in this meditation. There's no way. Okay? Stupid, crazy, nuts, new age, that type of thing. And those are all ego mind judgments. So understanding, talking about this and sharing this and the guided information before the quiet time of the meditation is paramount, because we're halfway there. We're actually identifying the cause of our block as a civilization. And the cause is the ego mind, and not understanding that the peace that we seek, because everybody wants to have peace and quiet and niceness and happiness and joy and bliss. And we've been trained to look outside of ourselves for eons, when all along, everything that we've ever needed on this infinity journey, we have within us. And that's been proven over and over again. And you can pick up a book on quantum physics, and you can look in there, and you can start understanding that everything has a consciousness, and everything is one. It is absolutely amazing. So we choose to be in physical form that appears separate. We choose to interact with separation so that we have our own individual identities in the physical material world. You've got Bill, Bob, John, Alice, Jane, Mary, and we all appear to be separate lives, doing separate things, experiencing different things. But in reality, it's the one experiencing all of it. So that's been designed by the collective consciousness that we're part of, so that we can learn, experience, move to higher levels of divine perfection as the gods that we are. And this is a culmination for this civilization for eons of moving pragmatically, methodically forward and not being aware that we are, but at a very, very, very slow rate. And the interesting thing is that everybody on this planet is conscious. Fortunately, the programming that continued after we reached consciousness as a civilization, about 3,000, give or take a few thousand years ago, where we became conscious. It was an evolutionary step for the civilization. The second phase of that is moving into the now in our own spirituality, discovering that we are gods. I mean, really understanding that we are gods. We are, and gods are pure consciousness. Pure, unadulterated love, light, energy. We're all balls of this unbelievable, powerful energy. It doesn't mean that we, in our natural state, as these balls of light, we don't have any of the things that we do in physical form. We don't experience love. We don't experience hate. We don't experience stress or fear and anxiety. We don't experience bliss or anything, because we are bliss, and we are bliss and happiness and love. It's just little. It's kind of confusing for some people to wrap their understanding around it, not their minds, but their heart. To embrace it, to understand, is that okay? So, who is my guardian? Who is my guide, and who answers my prayers? Who listens to me in meditation? Your God. See? Now, yes, we've been trained through man-made religions to believe that we pray, we go into a vestibule or a chapel and we pray up, look up. Because we've been literally programmed to believe that we are separate from God, okay, and that God is one entity that we put all of our energies and focus on at certain times in our lives. Then you discover that that's false, and the God is us, the God within the body. So when we pray, do you ever notice when people pray all at once together, and they're praying for a person to get better in a hospital room, or they're praying for something good to transpire, to shift. And a lot of the times, things happen, and we call them miracle. And it's because the gods within us have come together. Now, it doesn't mean that people know that when they pray, but that's what happens. So the gods respond. This is how powerful we are. And a lot of times, miraculous things have happened to people's broken bodies, situations, emotionalities, states of condition that have been miraculously eliminated during that time. I've witnessed this thousands of times in the last 40 years, and it's amazing. But to embrace that is always. It's not just an instant, it's always. And we move more into the understanding of trusting ourselves 100%, trusting ourselves, having faith in ourselves and confidence in ourselves and the universe, because we are the universe. Universe is us. We are abundance. We are prosperity. We are happiness. We are bliss. We already are those things. And through the separation programming and through the illusion, we don't know that. That's just about as simple as we can put it. We don't know that. We don't know that we're one, that Jim Johnson and Mary Smith, the bodies aren't, but the gods within are. They're part of us and we're part of them. Everything, even the bad ones. Even the bad ones. So, and we're all reflecting and we're all learning. Some of us are focused on that. We understand it. Others don't. They just aren't there yet. But some of us understand that whenever we interact with each other, we're learning, we're teaching and learning. We comfort one another in stressful times. We love one another, we hate one another. We have all of these emotions and everything, which the body gives us. So you can understand that you get into the habit of being in a physical form. You get seduced into being so attached to the physical form. That's why people become upset and fearful because something goes on with the body. It's the first time, they don't know what it is, and they become very fearful. Respiration increases, heartbeat, everything. But it's not understanding that who can calm you down? The God within you, of what you truly are. So you look to the God within you, and then everything changes, because then you start to understand that you've never been alone. You've never been alone, ever. So when a lot of people feel alone, it's because of the separation, the illusion of separation that makes them feel separated from other people. Okay? And they don't understand that you're not. Every one of us are one. And we're just facets. We're reflections of each other in different ways. Some of us we will not accept certain things because we're ego-mind controlled, or to believe certain things, and even if they happen in front of us. So we get to the point where we say, well, wait a minute, let's revisit that. That makes a lot more sense now. So our power as a civilization is so immense, it is immeasurable. It's like this. You could have 10,000 burning sacred suns, and with our one pinky, we could literally catapult those suns into other universes. And I know that for the mind, that's just too much to comprehend, but that's the truth. And you see what happens when a civilization is conditioned into believing that it is separate from the One or from the God. Then it doesn't express its power, because the power would then come through the heart mind. The ego mind would no longer exist. This is part of our spiritual transition into New Earth. Therefore, the technologies that are afforded us, that we've all had a part in creating as a collective consciousness, will be more of an open acceptance. We will just say, we should have had this a long time ago, and that statement is true. So we alleviate everything, all of the pain and suffering and all of the physical ailments and all of the worries and stresses and fears, and this is what you call a God-planet paradise. And doesn't it make sense that we are immortal, supreme, omnipotently powerful beings that never die? Wouldn't it make sense that we would experience a God-planet paradise? That's New Earth. And people say, well, all this stuff, it won't exist. It'll exist in old Earth because people will still incarnate into old Earth. But we won't. We will move on. We will advance at an accelerated rate. We will also be very aware of how things fit into that journey so that we don't become obsessed with things or attached to things. We know that everything that we desire, we already have. And that's how things will materialize. People say, well, maybe one would say that's boring. Not. It's on the opposite. We will be so entertained, it will make your head spin. We will continue to learn and experience, but in a different position in existence. Just like going up a flight of stairs. You can only go one step at a time and then balance yourself without running up the stairs and maybe hitting your shin or falling. The old Earth life is that way. People are in a hurry in the rat race to get nowhere. Now, they don't know they're going nowhere. The illusion is that they're going somewhere, whether it's to achieve, great wealth or great peace or whatever it may be. And then I've talked to thousands of people through the years that say, I've gotten there, but it doesn't seem to be fulfilling like I thought it would be. So they're kind of let down and say, where do I go from here? And that's material physical life. Now, spiritual life, understanding, and in the now, there's no limits. The limits have been removed because the ego mind is the one that puts the limits in place through manipulating us and directing us and having us focus on yesterday and tomorrow. Do we have this, all of us, being one consciousness, but experiencing different aspects across the board? That's amazing. And all picking up experiences and learning and challenges and free falls and enjoyment and happiness and bliss. We're experiencing all that. And that's what this life is designed to be, is fun. So it's like you go, comparatively speaking, you leave old Earth, which is a 1968 Volkswagen Bug, and you go to new Earth, and it's a Rolls Royce. Okay? And everything that you do is blissful. There's no agitation, confrontation, anger, destruction, implosions, or anything. Greed, manipulation, dishonesty, it's all gone. That's in old Earth. But look at the wealth that we as a collective consciousness have absorbed through these bodies throughout the ages. It's incomparable. It's absolutely phenomenal that we have absorbed so much experience in the physical material world. Now we use that through the heart mind to understand and be deeply grateful when we transition into New Earth. And you can feel it in your heart. You don't have to see it because it'll appear anyway, but you feel it in your heart mind. The ego mind is not capable of comprehending it. It just isn't. It's like when you're shared information, and you kind of get that, oh yeah, right type thing, right? There's no way. That's not possible. That's the ego mind. What about the heart mind? Anything's possible. You don't say. That's phenomenal. I'd like to embrace that. There's the difference. So as you progress, because the people that have been on this meditation since the beginning have progressed. They know it. Their lives have changed. They know it. Not like they've changed and they don't know it. They know it. They also have learned that change is an illusion. Anything that changes is not real. The only thing that's real in all existence is the gods that we are. And we create everything around us. Galaxies, the universes, the planetary, the solar systems, the civilizations. And so the gods enter different physical forms and different species to experience the material physical world. And this is where we're moving. The understanding of that, comprehension and embracing it, but to know that it's just temporary. It's like you put on a new set of clothes that are really new and they're great and everything, and you really enjoy it, and then they get old, and then you get a different set of clothes. And that's what we do. But see, on this planet, we get a different set of clothes, but it's for the first time every time. It's not like, well, this is my 30th lifetime. But see, what will happen is that when you move consciously, because you desire to, you want to, into heart-mindedness and embrace your spirituality, and you discover that you are God in that body, then your perspective is totally different. And you will manifest things, only the things that you feel would be enjoyable, but not forever. So it's like you pick things out, you manifest them instantaneously, and you enjoy them. And when we talk about a God planet paradise, you're the God, okay? You are heaven. You are the kingdom of God in that body. That's where all that came from. That's where it came from. So throughout the writings and texts and scripts and everything throughout that we're aware of, through the generations and civilizations. All of this came from the God within us. So it's like the kingdom of God is the God within the body, which is the pure consciousness, which is all creation. The God is creation, pure consciousness, collective consciousness, however you want to name it, label it. That's what we do. We continually create everything. And if you rely on your mind to be able to absorb and understand that, that's the wrong direction, because it won't understand that, no matter what you do. So through the heart mind, you understand that you are everything and everything is you. And that is absolute, literal, and not figuratively. But it appears separate. So you can experience it from a material physical world. So we have, it's our attention and our awareness that assists us in progressing and advancing, moving out into the universes, interacting with different species and civilizations. That's what it's about. Our original planet, the new Earth, everything is totally different. And will the ones that are aware adjust to it? Absolutely. Won't take long. Because being in the heart-mind is a limitless experience, not a limited experience. Ego-mind is a limited experience in the physical material world. Heart-mind is a spiritual understanding and existence in a God-planet paradise, or heaven. The heaven is the God, and the earth, heaven on earth, your heaven on the earth. That's what that means. And as we embrace that more and more in our own way, we will come to a full conclusion that we truly are the God in the body. And it won't be ego-mindedness. It won't be arrogance. It won't be, look how powerful I am, because that's old earth. It'll be understood amongst all of us. Pure reverence for each other, pure respect, and all of the activities that we have indulged ourselves in the material physical world for several lifetimes was an experience. That's it. And so then we move into a spiritual life, and that's where everything accelerates. It's like overnight. Once you step in fully, because we're not stepped in fully. Okay? And why is that? Because we haven't gotten there yet with ourselves. Now we can always see, we're retraining ourselves to believe in any version of reality as we depict it. If we want it to be bad enough. Right? We simply need to be more honest with ourselves about how stuck we may feel in our lives. It is our pain that ultimately motivates and inspires us to bring about enormous, deep change. When everything is going smoothly, we've all experienced this. How many times have we experienced it? Many times. Everything's going smoothly. We're riding along, floating great. Right? We have no deeper yearning to shapeshift our belief system. Isn't that true? It is only when we feel into our deepest pain that we yearn to remember just how amazing, lovable, and powerful we truly are. When have you made your biggest leaps in this life? When you've been in turmoil, stress. I'm not talking about, this doesn't necessarily mean physical pain. I'm talking about pain in general. Pain of living, pain of understanding, pain of accepting ourselves and everything around us. And so when that happens, how many times has that happened to you where you have made a leap and you've literally corrected things or moved things or adjusted things and when you normally wouldn't if you were just coasting along? So we need that as a civilization, as gods, to understand. So we look at that and say, okay, I comprehend this through my heart-mind. So I focus on what I want. And the mainstay for all of us is to be happy. And the ironic thing is that we are happiness. That's why at times you could be just jovial and happy for no reason whatsoever, and you watch what happens to the people around you. They begin to start being happy and jovial, or laugh or giggle or whatever. To see, when we elevate ourselves knowingly out of the material physical world, not meaning we're throwing it away forever type thing. We interact with it because it's fun and we have experiences with it. But we're not of it. We're not from it. It's temporary. And the transition has come to a crescendo for many of us to begin the transition into New Earth, a God-planet paradise. And we're retraining ourselves every single moment. We're starting to understand, is that, no, that's an ego mind thought, I'm not interested in engaging that. Or when you start to feel irritated or upset, no, I'm not going there, that's ego mind control. I love you, ego mind, but you're not in charge here. And you watch what happens. Now, you may have to do that 1,000 times in the course of your day, or choose to do it. But after a while, it may come in briefly, and you'll look at it, and you'll give it a big smack on the lips, and you'll say, I'm not interested in engaging with you. And it will disappear. And every time it tries to come back in, same thing will happen. You're not ignoring it. You're facing it, embracing it. You're not running from it. You face it and embrace it. Now, that does take a lot of courage for some people. It does take a lot of courage. But we all have that within us. And we direct it how we choose. And we will look at each of our days, every minute, every second of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year, and more of a blissful, deep gratitude state. So in the quiet time of meditation, choose for yourself what you want to focus on in the quiet time, with the information I've shared with you and the guidance. And I will join you, and I will return to close us out. take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. Easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. All of us are truly brilliant. We can stop pushing ourselves to be something more than what we really already are. We are divine intelligence in action. Trust this. You will know exactly what to do next. Each moment, our inner genius awaits us. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. We will return here Wednesday, January 31st, 2024, around 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call, around 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our Time for Change call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on outside of you or within you.